Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a pretty wild thought experiment about the invisible mechanics keeping our planet habitable. We rarely think of the ground beneath our feet as being in motion, but exploring what happens if that motion suddenly stops reveals exactly why we're able to survive here at all.
Imagine waking up and the world is just still. Sounds kind of peaceful, right? Well, actually, scratch that. As this question asks, it would literally trigger one of the most absolute chaotic disasters in human history, fundamentally rewriting the rules of our world in an instant.
All right, let's get into it with Section 1, the instant halt. To really wrap our heads around this, look at this number. Right now, at this very second, even though you and I don't feel a thing, the Earth, and literally everything on it, is blasting through space at a mind-boggling 1,670 kilometers per hour at the equator. We're all on a giant cosmic merry-go-round. And here is where things get really intense, because of inertia. You know the drill. Objects in motion stay in motion. So if the planet just slams on the brakes out of nowhere, the buildings, the cars, the oceans, the very air you're breathing, they don't stop. They just keep flying forward at that 1,670 km/h speed. Which leads us directly into Section 2, global catastrophe. Within literally minutes, we are talking about a domino effect of pure destruction. Because the atmosphere is still moving at its original speed, we'd get hit with supersonic winds, way faster than any hurricane ever recorded. We're talking whole forests just flattened instantly, skyscrapers crumbling like toothpicks, and the oceans? Massive, towering walls of water would just surge inland, completely swallowing cities that are nowhere near the coast. And obviously, with all that happening, everyday life goes out the window. Air travel? Completely impossible. Communication systems and power grids would just totally collapse. Even if you made it past that initial shockwave, getting your hands on basic stuff like food, clean water, or medical care would become an absolute nightmare. For what happens after the dust settles? Let's look at Section 3, a hostile new world.
See, that initial destruction is really just part one, because even if the Earth stops spinning on its axis, it's still orbiting the sun. And that means the whole concept of a 24-hour day, completely gone forever.
Without that daily spin to distribute the heat, we're looking at brutal extremes. One side of the planet is just stuck, facing the sun, baking under unbearable continuous heat for months on end. And the other side? Plunged into total pitch-black darkness for just as long. It'd be a freezing, icy wasteland. You can probably guess what that does to the climate. It completely breaks it. These massive temperature shifts would permanently wreck global weather patterns. Plants, animals, entire ecosystems would just collapse. Humanity would have to figure out a completely new way to survive in an environment that is actively trying to kill us. But before you start boarding up your windows, let's turn to Section 4, the scientific reality. Okay, everybody take a deep breath. The really good news here? The Earth isn't just going to hit the brakes. The sheer, massive amount of energy involved in planetary motion makes an instant stop practically impossible. This whole thing is strictly a scientific thought experiment to push our brains a bit. But what this explainer really does is make us appreciate what that rotation is actually doing for us every single second. It's the ultimate stabilizer, right? It controls our days, gently nudges our weather patterns, and keeps our global environment in that perfect sweet spot for life to actually thrive. So the next time you're watching a gorgeous sunrise or sunset, just remember, the sun isn't moving. We are. That continuous, invisible spin is genuinely one of the biggest reasons you and I are even here to talk about it. To put it simply, without that steady motion, life as we know it simply wouldn't exist. So when you weigh that against supersonic winds and months of freezing darkness, aren't you pretty grateful for the relentless momentum right beneath your feet? It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible cosmic forces are quietly keeping us alive right now,